know that player who just seems to be slowly slipping out of the picture? The one whose name used to come up with promise but now only sparks questions. That's exactly where we are with Thayer Munford right now. The situation surrounding the Las Vegas Raiders offensive line is evolving rapidly. Munford, once seen as a project with upside, appears to be on the outside looking in. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the offseason moves, the coaching changes, the silence around his training camp participation, it all starts to paint a very clear scenario. Munford may not be wearing the silver and black much longer. Let's talk timing, because the timing is everything. The NFL calendar has this little inflection point called June 1st. It's a date that doesn't mean much to the average fan, but for teams and front offices, it's massive. Contracts can be restructured, cap hits get split between years, and rosters start to shift as teams prepare for the grueling road to week 1. This is when decisions get made. Not just about stars or expensive veterans, but about depth guys, fringe players, and developmental projects who might not be progressing fast enough. And right now, Thayer Munford is exactly the kind of name you'd expect to be hovering around that cut a trade list after June 1st. What's even more telling is that there was already a report circulating that Munford could be the odd man out. And honestly, nobody really acted surprised. You didn't see fans freaking out, and people close to the organization kind of gave a collective shrug like, yeah, that checks out. Because for all the talk about potential and versatility, Munford hasn't exactly locked down a role on this team. He wasn't spotted participating in recent practice drills, and while the official reason was left undisclosed, that word alone tends to carry a lot of weight in situations like this. When a player who needs every snap, every drill, every chance to prove himself is suddenly sidelined without explanation, alarm bells start ringing. It raises the question, are the Raiders preparing to move on from him? Or is Munford, aware of his standing on the depth chart, taking matters into his own hands to avoid injury before asking for his release? These questions matter because context matters. Munford was brought in by a different leadership group. He was drafted in the 7th round by Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, both of whom are now gone. That alone makes his standing shaky. It's no secret that when a new regime comes in, they often want to bring in their own guys, players they believe in, players they handpicked. The holdovers from the previous era, especially late-round picks, usually don't get the benefit of the doubt. They become expendable, and that's exactly what's happening here. Munford's story is less about what he hasn't done and more about what the new decision-makers are choosing to do instead. And what they've chosen to do is flood the offensive line with new talent. The Raiders signed Alex Cappa to a 2-year, $11 million deal, essentially a 1-year prove-it contract worth $5.5 million. That's a solid investment in a player expected to start. Reports suggest Cappa has already grabbed the starting right guard role. On the left side, it's a battle between Jordan Meredith and Dylan Parham. And if you're looking at tackle, Colton Miller's job at left tackle is untouched, and DJ Glaze looks set to be the guy at right tackle. So you tell me, where exactly does Munford fit in this puzzle? Even if we play devil's advocate and assume Munford might be slightly better than one or two of the new additions, it's a tough sell for this front office to invest in a 25-year-old. They didn't draft. Who's in the final year of his deal over guys they just selected? Guys like Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. Rogers brings flexibility, having experience at all 4-line spots outside of center. Grant is more of a raw swing tackle, but he's got that fresh draft day sheen. The organization is clearly looking ahead, and Munford isn't part of that picture. From Munford's perspective, this has to be a frustrating situation. He knows his deal is up after this year. If he sticks around and barely sees the field, he risks walking into free agency with no recent tape and minimal value. But if he has to be released post-June 1st, he might find an opportunity to catch on elsewhere, right before mandatory minicamps kick off. That's when teams start identifying weak spots and looking for last-minute reinforcements. For a guy like Munford, that timing could be everything. Now, let's be fair. There are reasons a team might take a flyer on him. Munford was a high-potential prospect out of Ohio State, and there was a time when people thought he could sneak into the first round. That didn't happen, obviously, but he showed enough for the Raiders to take a chance in the 7th. Since then, his career has been a roller coaster. He had some solid flashes, especially during the 2023 season. According to PFF, he logged over 500 snaps, and finished with a respectable overall grade of 74.1. That's not bad. He allowed 4 sacks, had only 1 penalty, and played both tackle spots in a tough offensive line unit. But the key detail here is that those results came under Carmen Bricillo, an offensive line coach who got the best out of him. Fast forward to this past season, and it was a different story. Munford struggled, playing just over 200 snaps, giving up 10 pressures and 5 sacks. His PFF grade plummeted to 45.9. He looked lost in James Craig's system and frankly seemed like a liability whenever he was on the field, and that's the challenge for any team thinking about trading for him. Yes, there's tape that shows promise, but there's also recent tape that shows regression. Combine that with the fact that he's in the final year of a low-cost contract, just over $1 million with a cap hit of under $25,000 if cut, and you're basically looking at a no-risk flyer. But how many teams are lining up for a developmental offensive lineman who's still struggling to find his footing 3 years in? If someone does bite, there are a few logical fits. The Patriots make sense, given that McDaniels is back there. The Titans, now led by Ziegler, are another possibility. Carmen Bricillo is with the Giants now, and he might want a familiar face to work with again. There's also a connection with the Arizona Cardinals through Munford's old college offensive line coach. Beyond that, teams like the Ravens, Seahawks, Texans, and Colts are always looking for depth on the offensive line. But let's be real. If any of those teams do show interest, we're talking late-round pick swaps, conditional 7th rounders, nothing significant. It's more about taking a chance on a guy with physical tools and some NFL reps than it is about securing a game changer. Still, the writing feels like it's on the wall. The Raiders have brought in Dalton Wagner, who by all reports is more like it in the locker room and has also been repping at right tackle. Wagner's 26, so he's not exactly a young prospect either, but the staff seems to be more sold on his upside than Munford's. And then there's Lokahi Pawole, the international pathway player who's been getting looks as the extra offensive lineman in jumbo packages, the same role Munford was filling before. That's another subtle sign that the coaching staff is moving on. When a team starts replacing your situational reps with a guy from the International Development Program, it's not a great sign for your job security. So where does that leave us? Munford is caught in no man's land, too valuable to be dismissed. Outright, but not valuable enough to justify keeping over younger, cheaper, and more versatile options. The Raiders have signaled in every possible way that they are building a new identity up front, and Munford just doesn't fit the blueprint anymore. Whether he's cut, traded, or asked for his release, the most likely scenario is that he's not on the roster come week 1. He might catch on elsewhere. He might get a second chance. But as far as the Las Vegas Raiders go, that chapter seems like it's reaching its final pages. And honestly, that's part of the NFL life. Players come in, fight for a shot, flash potential, and then the machine keeps moving. Sometimes it's a numbers game. Sometimes it's about scheme fit. Sometimes it's just bad timing. For Thayer Munford, it's a mix of all three. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around the NFL as an unexpected shakeup could be on the horizon. TJ Watt, the dominant pass rusher who has been the cornerstone of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, might be heading to the Las Vegas Raiders in a blockbuster deal that's making waves across the league. While nothing is officially confirmed, sources close to the situation hint that the Raiders are preparing a mega contract offer that could lure Watt away from Pittsburgh, igniting a firestorm of speculation among fans and analysts alike. TJ Watt has long been celebrated for his relentless pressure on quarterbacks and his knack for game-changing plays. As one of the league's top defensive stars, his potential move to the Raiders would not only reshape their defensive line, but also send shockwaves through the AFC. The Steelers have been counting on Watt's presence as a defensive leader, and the possibility of him walking away leaves many wondering about the future direction of their franchise. Rumors suggest that the Raiders are aiming to secure Watt with a contract that would make him one of the highest paid defensive players in NFL history, a clear statement of intent to bolster their defense with an elite talent. Las Vegas, eager to establish itself as a serious contender sees Watt as a perfect fit to anchor their pass rush and bring a new level of intensity to their defense. The Raiders have struggled to find consistent pressure on opposing quarterbacks in recent seasons, and acquiring a player of Watt's caliber could be the missing piece in their puzzle. The idea of Watt trading the Steel City for the neon lights is a narrative that fans can't stop buzzing about, with social media already lighting up with speculation and analysis. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh is reportedly gearing up to make a strong push to retain their star. But the financial muscle and market allure the Raiders could prove difficult to match. The dynamics of this potential move highlight the increasingly competitive nature of NFL free agency, where superstar talents are pursued aggressively and teams are willing to break the bank to land game changers. While nothing has been signed or sealed yet, insiders hint that discussions between Watt's camp and the Raiders front office are progressing rapidly. If this deal comes to fruition, it could be one of the most significant defensive signings in recent NFL memory. Fans and analysts are on edge, waiting to see if the rumors will become reality and reshape the landscape of the league ahead of the new season. For now, the speculation continues, with many eagerly watching for any official word. One thing is clear. If TJ Watt does join the Raiders on a mega contract, it will mark a new chapter in his career and could dramatically alter the balance of power in the AFC. The Steelers and Raiders are both preparing for what could be a defining moment in their franchise histories, and the NFL world is watching closely to see how this potential blockbuster unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.